What's going on? It's JT here. Welcome to the Break Zone. Tonight I'm joined by the rest of my teammates. We're going to be going through some of Opus 1's best cards from every element. But before we start, we need to give a huge shout out to Anna and Illusive Comics and ILA Gamers for helping us bring this video to all of you guys and for providing us with the awesome room that we're in right now. So check out their information. It'll be right down here on all of the information, and if you like them, please give them a shout out. Go check them out. Tons of great comics, awesome games, tabletop games, and everything. So please give them a shout out. And also, I want to take a point to point out that ILA Gamer is actually joining the Northern California Meta Potion Circuit for Final Fantasy TCG. So the link will also be down there in the info. They'll be running circuit events every week. Correct, guys?
Yep.
Every week, and ILA Gamers has a few events lined up already. Actually, one is tomorrow. So please give a shout out to them. Check it out. As always, give us a thumbs up if you like what we're talking about. Thumbs down if you don't, and hit the subscribe button. All right, so everybody, we're going to go around. I'm going to start on my right side. Please introduce yourself to the rest of the YouTube world. Everybody, this is Team Break Zone, so say hi.
Philip.
Oh, Luke. I thought you were going to say a little more than that.
It's all good, guys. It's all good.
Peter. Jared.
Badger.
So this channel is dedicated to Final Fantasy the card game. And if you guys are part of the card game, you'll notice that four of the players here are actually competed at the North American Championships, Nationals. And some of them actually made it to day 2 and 5. Peter competed.
Yeah.
Peter,
went 5
yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm the only one who didn't.
Well, you think it's overseas?
And we have a couple of like top 20 finishers, top 30 finishers here. So outside of the things that I say, what they say might actually hold some weight in this game. So, all right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So we're gonna get started with fire. All right, everyone has their list in front of you.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go through the list. It's gonna go left to right. These are the most voted. So everyone on the team submitted a list of their top 5s, and these are what we came up with as all the tally points came in. So we're gonna start off. Take a look right here. You'll see a picture of the card. And for everyone to take a look at, same as what we're looking at. So we're going to start off with the Red Mage and Fire, which I think is one of the best backups in the game, bar none. Only because it really creates some type of mismatch on the battlefield. So if you guys aren't familiar with Final Fantasy the card game, it plays much like Magic, right, guys?
Yeah.
There's going to be forwards, basically the ones doing the line of attacking, and your backups, which are resource generation as well as different types of activities. The activations, the one that we're talking about right now is called the Red Mage for the element of fire. And I'm going to go around the room, and everyone go ahead and put your 2 cents in about why this card, because you guys all voted,
Yeah.
why this card in particular made the first pick in our fire element. Go ahead.
2 cost backups, and you can have 3 of them.
Right? That's awesome.
That's kind of all you need.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of times that you go in there and you're like, hey, you only have one guy that can block? Guess what? He's not blocking this turn, I'm killing you.
Right. So just to refresh everyone's memory, the Red Mage has an activation that takes 1 fire CP, 1 colorless CP, and tapping it, and it says choose a forward. Dueling. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Choose a forward, and that forward cannot block this turn. For whatever reason, you could have a 50,000 power, and it's useless on the blocking. So
another key to it, though, is that 2 cost backups are a very big deal in this game because whenever you discard a card for resources, you get 2.
Right.
Meaning if you discard a card, 2 is the minimum that you get out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is the cheapest backup resource you can get, and it's actually very useful.
Right.
End game, mid game, early game, whenever you want to.
It's always relevant, right?
And,
right.
Yeah.
And, once you have one copy out, you can always use the other cards to either play another one if you don't have 5, or you could use it to pitch it to a Red Mage. So
right.
Red Mage into a Red Mage.
Red Mage into Red Mage, or any other card into a Red Mage. And basically it makes every single one of your cards in your hand that's a fire, basically a summon that says that person can't block. right? Which is freaking crazy, right? Jared?
Yeah, I think what's important is the distinction between this and like all of the dulling effects of ice and lightning, because those effectively do the same thing of removing a blocker from being able to block, but it's not as foolproof because if the opponent's playing wind, they might have ways to activate it. They might have exactly. There's ways around it, right? But there's but saying that something can't block, it says I don't care if you're active, I don't care if you're dull, I don't care if you're 1,000 power, if you're 20,000 power, like you just can't block, and so that's something that is unique to Fire. We don't see it in any other element, and it's available on such a basic card here, because the other cards that do do the you can't block this turn are more limited in how they work, or like it's on like the legendary Tifa, or cards like that, which are a little more expensive, or you can't have multiple of them out like the Red Mage. So just the availability to splash that into any deck that's using Fire is powerful. Even if your deck is not based around removing people from being able to block, if you just have a giant wall in the way, as long as there's only one of them, then it's incredibly effective.
Well, I mean, unless you got 2 Red Mages,
That's right.
I've definitely been on the end of that, where somebody puts out 2 Red Mages, like every card in my hand says one of you guys can't block this.
Exactly. And I want to follow up on that until end of turn. So you basically made that one card useless, and then as long as you have available 4s are active, you can keep on continuing attacking.
That one
just like useless. Yes.
So one of the things I also like about the card game in general, not only with like Fire and Ice and everything like that, it's like the thematicness of it all. Like it's very on theme with anybody that's familiar with the Final Fantasy series, and Red Mage has long been a major support class in Final Fantasy games in general, ever since like its inception, I believe, in Final Fantasy 3. So making the Red Mage with this unblockable ability kind of echoes back to that whole support ability for the rest of the forwards getting in to win that game for you. So,
it's about weakening the other opponents.
It's definitely very on theme for the Red Mage characteristics from the actual classic game. So it's pretty nice, actually. I like
Speaking of doling, we're going to move right on to our next card, which I think should be a legendary, man. This card is
good.
Awesome. So the 4-drop Tifa from the starter deck. It's a starter deck. It's it's one of the reasons why we all buy the starter deck is to get these cards.
Yeah.
And her water kick ability is ridiculous. And I'm going to go into why I think it's ridiculous before I hand it off to someone else. Is that it's really cheap, right? You discard another copy of Tifa and a Fire CP. You don't have to dull her, and then she chooses a forward, dulls it, and then kicks it in the face for 6,000 damage. For most things, that's a fair amount of damage. Things like snow or anything that's smaller is going to take that damage. If they don't die, they're dull. So you're really using it to set up a lot of like different mismatches, and I think that's huge. And the fact that there's so many copies of Tifa in the game that you could just throw them all in there and just start chucking them. I think that's good, right? What do you think, Phil?
I like her. She's on par. She's a 4-cost 8K.
Right on the curve. Right on the power.
Right on the curve.
Yeah.
And she's dealing 6K. So in theory, she's trading with 14K power.
Right.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything. And she's dulling it if she doesn't kill it.
Right. And it's a water kick.
And it's
right in the face.
I mean, there's other support cards for it that you mentioned. There's other copies of Tifa. There's a backup that's not on the list right now, but that goes hand in hand with Tifa. As you mentioned, it should be legendary, but as we've learned from starters decks, is sometimes that S is an L.
Yeah.
There's some of them. She's definitely one of those.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. While 6,000 might not seem a lot, but if you design your deck around it, like say some EX bursts or whatnot, her ability, you don't have to dull her. So you may have attacked with her early on, and at some point when your opponent comes to retaliate, hits an EX burst like an Ifrit, you have another copy.
Right, yeah.
Kill them off. Finish them off
exactly.
and whatnot. Yeah.
It's always playable.
Yeah, it's always playable.
Always
Even if
playable.
she's dull, she's active.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've been caught with that. I'm like, oh, Tifa's dull. I'm gonna oh my gosh, he just crap. I've been caught by it. Jared, what do you think?
A lot of times when a forward has an ability that's only a special, I tend to shy away from it because I think of it as if I'm not using the special, they're just a 4 CP, 8K body
Right,
in this
yeah.
case. But her special is so good that it kind of overcomes that anyway.
Yeah.
You know, it either syncs well with other elements if you're in a fire ice or fire lightning, and the fact that she can dull, like I was talking about how red mage is something that's very unique to fire in terms of the removing somebody from being able to block, but dulling is something that's not associated with fire
Right,
at all.
right.
Like, I can't think
Yeah.
of another fire card
That
that dulls somebody.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly.
So you're getting access to something that's kind of off element,
Mhm.
you know, for one. And so it's kind of like, even if the 6,000 damage doesn't kill something, it's kind of like it's the grab bag of effects. It's
Right.
like, am I either doing it for the 6,000 because I have another thing that'll do an
Mhm.
Ifrit or something that'll finish killing something, or the 6,000 doesn't matter, but I'm dulling somebody else.
And then I'm
you
gonna
know?
swing.
Yeah,
Right.
and-
Yeah, you disable them.
right. And
Yeah.
the fact that it doesn't require dulling also means that as soon as she hits the field, it's dangerous. Like, you know,
Right.
yeah, she can come out and boom, there's the ability.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
you can catch an opponent by surprise, and then if you used Zangan to get her or something, then that means she hits the field, she dulls somebody, and then she swings in to punch you in the face.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
kick you in the face, right?
Yeah, exactly, right? And yeah,
Very aggressive.
Yeah.
Very,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
super
exactly,
aggressive card.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, going with what Jared said about Zangan too and stuff like that, it's basically a tutorable with Zangan ability to dull forwards and stuff like that, deal
Right.
damage. Because you play a Zangan, you get another Tifa, you immediately pitch that Tifa to something,
Right.
and then you somehow break Zangan using, you know, one of your other cards like Delete or something like that,
And then
and
do it
then you
again.
could just Zangan again, do something again. There's a few little combo abilities and
Yeah.
stuff with this thing, but Tifa's really solid by
I feel like
herself.
Tifa should be an ice.
Yeah. Maybe she was in the chapters.
Maybe,
They changed
maybe,
some shit.
yeah.
Yeah,
What's kind of funny
It's
though is
interesting.
also that she works really well with Red Mage.
Yes.
Exactly, right?
You put these two together,
The
it's
synergy
1-2.
is
That's why we're
Well, you
1-2.
can't block for two things. So.
Yeah, you can't block and you're tired.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah. So I think that's a really good point. I think that's why
Yeah.
all of everyone voted them 1-2, right? You know,
Yeah,
just
I
because they
think,
just
yeah.
work so well together.
They do.
Yeah.
They're like the kind of the cornerstone of a lot of the
And-
modern
Right.
decks.
some of the things that you see too is that some of the better abilities that they're good for more than one line of play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's like, well, if you want to put a small guy to block, I'm just going to straight up kill it. If you have a big guy to block, I'm just going to dull it and swing
And
anyway.
if you have a super big guy, I'm just gonna make him not block.
There you go.
And then
Yeah.
kick you
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
Yeah,
So we've gone through a backup and a forward. I really enjoy the list that we have for fire because the next one we're going to talk about is actually something that I don't agree should be on the list. And we'll talk about it. So you'll see the card right here. It's Bahamut, and it's the legendary Bahamut. There's only one, right?
For now.
Two.
For now,
The EX.
Well, yeah, but that one doesn't. It's called Bahamut Zero.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Okay. So
count.
this is
Okay.
the
Bahamut Fury.
Right, Bahamut
Yes,
Fury.
this is a Bahamut. This is a 9 CP summon that you can choose up to 2 forwards and literally deal it 10k each. And that sounds super duper powerful on paper.
it is super powerful.
It is crazy.
Pull it off,
I
it's
Remove them from game.
and then the remove from game. I find that for me personally that this is too much. It's not enough value in this card.
Yeah.
If I have to spend 9 CP to drop 2, I have bigger problems. But that's because I'm more of a control player. So I'm going to move this torch on to the other players who have voted for this.
We
and-
have to prove to Johnny what it's supposed to
I mean, I've been hit by it. It sucks. But we're going to move on and see why a lot of players, on our team voted for this one.
So my reasoning for it is it's as far as I know, the one card that says deal 10,000 damage,
Right.
which is getting over 99.9% of the cards in the game.
Yeah.
Minus buffers.
Right.
So it's dealing 10k. It's getting rid of anything from the game. So it's also getting rid of the enter the break zone effects.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
Golbez, your Renoas. You know, it's getting around
Zonde.
Yeah.
Zonde.
Right.
It's getting around all that extra abilities.
Right. Yeah.
So that was my reasoning for it.
I think
Fair enough, man. I hate this card.
I think a really good point for this card is that it fits red. Sometimes red has a bunch of quick, small guys that just want to get through, and you have a big old blocker. Somehow your red mage can't kill it, or something, like can't be targeted by abilities or something like that. And you're like, well, what am I gonna do? Well, there's always Bahamut.
Targeted by a summon. I'm gonna choose him twice.
There you go. I mean,
Just in case the first one doesn't do
I'm just gonna do it again.
I'll let somebody else talk about this.
It's a smoldering pile, and then Bahamut just comes back again.
While the cost is really expensive for 9 CP, it is very resource intensive, but for its element, it's one of your only panic button cards. So, say example, you're down to your last life, your opponent's last life, and you want to go in for the kill. It's great for late game. Remove the 2 biggest threats, and then a blitz for the last.
Dull the other one and make the other one not block and still cast Bahamut.
Right. I see a theme with the red cards that we've chosen. They all seem to work well together.
Yeah.
But right now, currently 10K might not be very relevant because a lot of guys can get above 10K now with all the buffs and whatnot. But for its time, though, it was one of your only panic button options.
I think if you can get it out quick in an efficient way as opposed to hard playing it, you might be better. And I think when we talk about Opus 2, and Philip gets into some of those Opus 2 cards, Jared, what do you think? I know you're not particularly fond of being a fire player. I mean, what do you think of this card?
I tend to think of cards a lot mathematically when I think about what they do and how that translates to CP cost to try to figure out if it makes sense for its cost. And for being currently the most expensive card in the game, it's okay, how do we get to that point? And I mean, I think about it like, I compare it to Odin. Because Odin, while providing direct removal, it's not damage based, that gets into like Fire's weaknesses. It is based off, there's ways to get around 10,000 damage, for better or worse. But if you think about it like, if you're dealing with 4 cost and less, people, like what the one version of Odin would remove. This is like having 2 Odins in one, right? So that's 8 CP. So there's a similar cost there, but this is all in one card. So you do have that element to it, that you're moving 2 things. And to me, this card is also very much it's a finisher. This is chances are, if you're using it, you're doing it so you can remove those 2 pain in the ass forwards from the field so that to get through for the last points of damage, right? Because I mean, the opponent might have 1 big forward. They might have 2 big forwards. Probably don't have 3 big forwards.
Right. They have 3 on the field,
but they probably don't have 3. So you can just totally wipe out the 2 of them. And the other thing is, Fire does not have access to a field wipe card. Like other elements do. This is kind of like a targeted field wipe in a sense. By removing the 2 strongest things out there, I think most of our games, if we get above 5 forwards on a side, that's a long game.
That is a long
Or you're playing against water against right. So removing 2, especially the 2 strongest ones, it's not quite a field wipe, but it's also one-sided. So you get the benefit of that. You're not also like taking out whatever you've got there. So it's super expensive. You're not going to want to do it in the early game unless like you're totally desperate. If you think back to the X-Death mannequin days, that turn 1 X-Death fleeting flash, you might go, ah!
Then drop your head in.
It definitely feels bad when you get this early game.
If you're hitting 9 CP to take out something that early in the game, you're definitely having more problems than just having... Bahamut's a good card. Like, I don't do math like my friend Jared here. I love much more the theme of things and stuff like that.
Math is hard.
Yeah, right now I'm far too stupid for that. But anyway, Bahamut, I do like Bahamut to a point. I think the namesake on the card is Bahamut, but there's also the summoner from the Illusive from 13, Fang, on the card too, and she does reduce his cost by 2. So that is some benefit there. 7's a little bit better to swallow than 9, I guess.
Yeah, she's an expensive card though.
She is kind of
If she costs 3 instead of 4, it would be a more potent combo, I think. But the 4 for 7K that's under the curve, that's
I do agree with that too. So I'm much touching on some of the recent spoilers and stuff. I'm much more like Caius in reference to this card. The one.
Yes, giving you an alternative.
Bahamut tutor as well as pitching for 7K or something like that. That's pretty good. But Bahamut, I will agree with my compatriots here. Early on, Bahamut was like one of your only really big panic buttons in Fire. Now he's lost a bit of the relevance and stuff.
Yeah.
Now that I think the game's kind of hitting a little bit more of where it wants to meet itself.
But it's still the biggest summon that you.
Oh,
can
it's still a big summon, and it's still.
Well, you think
wholesome,
about it
right?
again, like Jared said, it's 2 cards in one, so it reduces the amount of space it'll take in your 50 card deck.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so it's 2 Odins built in.
Mathematically speaking, it's
if you're swinging into say a bunch of WRO members that are all like 16K or something like that,
When does that happen?
right? Then you can like block with a couple of things, then Bahamut everything on the board, and it's like, oh well, there goes your guys.
I just find the value not there.
Well, the closest comparison is Sildra, because Sildra is a double Leviathan and it costs 6, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's there's a reason it
It's
costs
a little bit of
as much as
it's a little bit of a comparison there, but I do have to agree that the cost of Bahamut's a little bit too steep, and I think it's lost a lot of relevance.
All right, well, how about this? If the cost is too much, it's a beautiful foil.
It is.
Foils matter.
I think also,
You just have to see some of our upcoming videos to realize that foils matter, I think.
Yes, yeah. You'll see it.
I think also another good point about Bahamut is that as the meta has changed now, one of the cards that we're going to talk about later on is Golbez, which would just trash Fire if it hit early.
Yeah.
And if not for Bahamut, they would just stare at it and be like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, pretty much.
For me, it's a value thing, and that's why we're going to move into the next card, which is. What I think is like
Value Town.
Value Town, exactly. It is the Fire Warrior of Light, and it is you can see it right here. It is a 2-drop, 2 CP drop, 5K.
I love that card.
It doesn't look like it's very strong, but it is a 2 CP cost, and the special is amazing. So,
Special?
Well, it's not special. The ability. Sorry. The ability. I think it should be a special, but its ability says if Warrior of Light deals damage to a forward of cost 4 or more, then you double that damage. So he's effectively trading for 10K. If you block him, at least, right?
With a minimum, without buffing. Right?
Yeah, without any buffing, and this is legitimately Fire's value city. He's easily, if I play Fire, a 3 copies in my deck, because I'm never gonna find anything more. I just can't find that value in any other cards except for the one after this one. And I understand there's only I think this had like 3 votes on our end, me being one of them. So I'm gonna move it along so that everyone else can start talking about it and why they like or may not like it. Again, everything on this list you may or may not agree with. We may or may not agree with. It's just communally that's what we've decided. So
Yeah.
So I'm on the fence. I'm a yes and no. Yes, it's great. It's killing up to 10Ks. I'm saying no because every 3 drop is at least a 7K, and that's useless.
Right.
One of the biggest perks of this card is what he was spoken about. Golbez. Golbez fetches this card.
Yes.
If you want to play that way, Golbez will bring that card out for free.
For free.
And it's a 2 cost.
It's a 2 cost. Resource management in this game is huge. Like, misplays of wasting 1 CP could cost you a couple points of damage, if not the game sometimes. It's resource management, when it's even, things like a 2 cost are just so much easier to play.
Yeah.
I'll definitely agree with
you get
that.
a lot out of it.
Resource management is a big part of this game. I mean, I remember playing at the round robin. We're getting ready for the nationals. And,
Yeah.
I think it was last game of the day. I was playing against David, and I was like, if only I had just like one more CP, one more card, I would have been able to pull it off. And instead, it's like, nope,
Right.
I didn't have it. So
Yeah, exactly.
this is a great card, great value. It's just I think it kind of phased out of the meta because we've switched to a faster, lower cost meta. We don't see as many 4 costs that need to be answered in the same way anymore.
It's the 3's a new 4, right? 3's a new 4. 3 guys are 3 costs, and when we get into when we start talking about Opus 2 and 3 cost guys are really like super utility these days.
Yeah, these
exactly.
days, yeah.
These days, right?
Yeah. But early on, though, Opus 1 and 2, there were so many 4 drops. They were so powerful.
Right.
And so
Like Guy.
basically, 3 drops. 3 drops.
Guy never went away.
Not there as much. There's only mostly 2 drops and 4 drops, and so it was really relevant. And It was a big threat. You know, and so much value. 2-drop, you could take out 4, and so.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I think where it's relevant now still is the sheer amount of water that we're playing against. Because Warrior of Light will still trade up with Lena, and he will still trade up with Steiner.
Yes.
And those guys are there all day long.
All day.
Right?
Don't fetch each other. Don't.
Right. So we're facing a lot of that, so that's relevant. And then the other thing is, if you use Warrior of Light with Belias, you can trade up to 12k, and he's still alive.
And he's still alive. He
right?
still lives.
He first strikes and takes out. He could take out like.
Minerva?
Well, yeah, take out Minerva. Actually, I was thinking your opponent blocks with Prish, and she's like, "I'm 12k," and he's like, "That's funny."
That's cute. That's cute. Here.
Exactly.
I'm just gonna hit you first.
And then she goes down, this little 2-cost guy, and then you go, "That's great. I'm going to draw my card for Belias now."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And
But I mean, it's so
Value
it's,
City, man.
yeah, it's still relevant at least against water, if nothing else.
Yeah.
But people still they put in less 4-cost forwards than they used to. But it's still pretty relevant, I think, especially with the amount of water out there. Because if you face a water deck that's not running Lena or Steiner, then you need to take them aside and talk to them.
Like, hey, I mean, this is like how this game is played.
I mean, kind of like if you're running a fire deck without Belias,
Yeah.
Or Tifa, or Red Mage.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Kind of surprised Belias isn't on the list here.
That's
Opus
Opus
two.
two.
Opus two.
Yeah, you can't.
Opus two.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Opus 2 is going to be an interesting
video.
list.
Our next video.
It's gonna be an interesting list when we hit the
I completely skipped
Lena
my
and
mind
Steiner
on
do
that
not
list.
fetch each other.
They
No,
don't.
Steiner fetches himself.
Well, I'm going to put my
Yeah.
name for Belias and Opus 2 right
Lena
now.
doesn't fetch herself though.
No.
But
Actually, she can arise though.
Arise another one to fetch himself.
But then that
It's
would
into
kill
play,
herself.
though. No, it's into play.
And
When
she
you
would
use
kill
Arise.
herself.
You do Arise
You
as
can't even
Steiner.
do that. You're going to
Yeah.
get called over by a judge, and they're going
That's
to be
Opus
like,
3.
That's
too much
Opus 3.
Lena.
That's Opus
Yeah,
3.
exactly.
We're gonna
exactly.
skip over now.
Right. The next card, did you want to talk a little bit about Warrior Light?
Oh, I was just going to basically reiterate, like, he's great value. He trades up to everything, basically. It's really nice, especially if you have some of those buffers out there, like, Maria or, I never remember
LeBreau,
yes.
Not
the lady
because of
from 13.
LeBlanc.
I keep wanting to call her LeBlanc.
Yeah.
I can't help that. But, Warrior Light's a great card. I do like him a lot, and any fire deck I play is going to be running 3 of them.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Another card that I really, really enjoy, and it has fallen a lot off of the meta and the list. It's probably why it's only gotten like a couple votes, I think, out of all of us. Was the 3 fire CP Laan. It's 3 for 7k, which
On the par.
it's on par.
Yeah.
The reason why I like it is because Laan is always a net neutral at best. So Laan cannot be blocked by a forward with a power greater than his, and he cannot block a forward with a power greater than his. So he's always trading, right? Granted, you can be screwed, and somebody bigger is just going to come walking and hit you in the face, right? But you can, hit back, right? So you're trading, so it's a net neutral for me. We're gonna change it around. We're gonna go this way this time, and talk about Laan. So Badger, what do you feel like?
All right, so Laan, I am actually not as enthused for this card as many people are, especially in the current meta and stuff like that, because it just seems I've played with Laan before, and it just seems that every time I played him, they usually have some sort of trick to buff him or do something like that, reduce his power, reduce the other thing's power, stuff like that. So he always kind of gets staunch with me. I mean, he's a pretty fantastic card early on, but I think in the current Opus meta, we're seeing a lot more adjustment of power levels and stuff like that. When,
combat.
We're seeing a little bit of of that sort of thing. So I don't think he's as good anymore. Early on, he was actually pretty decent. But
One of the most
now that-
aggressive cards you can find.
Yeah, he was one of the more
Drop
aggressive
him.
ones. Yeah, so
Sway.
he just doesn't appeal to me anymore as much as he used to. But I'm not going to take
Right,
away that
right.
he was a fantastic card early on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think out of the 5 cards here that we're covering for Fire, Laan was the only one that wasn't on my personal list, and I feel like his ability is interesting because we were talking about how he fits. He's 7k, he's right on the curves, what we expect, but because of his ability, I find myself wishing he had less power. Right?
Yeah.
It's like if he was like 4k, I'd be like, sweet, block him now, right?
Yeah,
And the thing is, as we've moved to more of a 2 and 3 CP meta for forwards, it's actually pretty common to have somebody who's got equal or less power than him. And as we were pointing, as you said with the combat tricks, you know, it's like Laan's gonna come waltzing in, and then he's gonna get blocked by like a 2 CP knight, and then they're gonna play Kucha Lane, and then Laan's gonna just like march right back to the break zone.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a little,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
when we had so many 4 CP forwards out there, and it was just everybody was 8K all day long.
Right.
Like Laan was just kind of like, sweet,
Yeah,
my time,
yeah,
you
right,
know.
right.
But I find that his ability can be kind of
It's a double
hindrance,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
especially because it says that he can't block one if it's got greater power than him. So if you have a combat trick, you can't even block with him, and then
Exactly.
you know,
And
I mean, you'd
it's
have to like pump him first, I guess. And then, I mean, you
would-
could do that,
You can.
but you're also like telegraphing at that point.
Exactly.
You pump it, and then they go, okay, red mage.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, they're like, oh, you pump it. Oh,
Yeah, time.
okay. I enter my attack phase. I pump.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So.
leave the attack phase.
So he definitely was a lot better. I think Opus 1 and Opus 2.
Right.
But
Yeah.
where we've moved to now, he's
Yeah, he's kind of lost a lot of luster,
Yeah.
I think, too. So.
But I feel that his card was really well designed. It's within curve, 3 drops, 7K. That 7K at the time when it came out, it was a perfect balance.
Yeah.
Or if
Yeah.
because 2 drops at most were 6, and 4 drops were at 8. So it fit right in between. It could take care of all your opponent's 2 drops, and all your 4 drops cards. You know, it will go through. You know, he was really resilient, so he was able to like block and against the 2 drops, and he was able to be bypassed by all the 4 drops. So you know, it was easy. He
Right.
did a lot of work back then. Get at least 1 or 2 points in the
Kind of
damage.
hanging out on a plug
Yeah.
line right now, though.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think one of the good things about it is that back then, when everybody was saving their big answers to big threats for 4 drops, like
Yeah.
the Odins and stuff
Yep.
like that, right? They're like, oh, okay, but you see a Laan, and you're like, well, if I don't kill him, my 4 block can't block him, so I have to use an Odin.
Yeah.
And you use
you
it.
feel
and then-
bad using it.
Using it over like a
It's
2 or
like,
3
oh,
CP
that's
cost, like
Yeah.
guys.
so
And after
bad
that,
value,
It's never,
right?
never a good trade out.
You're
Like,
like,
Yeah.
you've activated my trap card. You've killed Laan. I put a 4 drop down there. You're like, dude.
Guess what? There's another Laan in my hand.
Stuff like that.
basically, Laan's Odin bait.
There you go.
Well, yeah, that's,
And he was great Odin bait, not so much anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I love Laan. One, he got an alternate art promo.
Yes.
It looks
Oh, yeah,
legit.
he's super
Oh,
cool.
yeah,
love
look
that
at
one.
Laan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
love
looks
that.
cool. But I am a firm believer Mono Fire can come into any tournament and win.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
Laan is part of the backbone. Because everyone's dealing with your 4-drop Tifas, your 5-drop Zondes.
Yeah.
You know, Laan is the last thought process
Yeah.
in a Mono Fire deck.
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer Mono Fire can come in and win any tournament.
Yeah, and if they have somebody who can actually block him,
Red Mage says
no.
that one can't block.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
There's another funny
Red
thing about
Mage is
Laan.
bouncer.
though,
Red
that-
Mage is amazing, man. That's why he's number 1, dude.
Yeah. the way decks are going nowadays is that either people are trying to race for how big can I get my guys as static stats.
Yeah.
You add all the buffers, the backups, the Marias, the Lebro, and also it's like, aha, my guy's 9K, he's gonna stop all your little guys. Here's a Laan.
Yes.
He cannot make you guys smaller. He will keep attacking you.
Yeah.
And you're staring at it, and you're like, all these things I've been doing that
I will Kucha Lane my own guy to block it.
Yeah.
And then draw a card.
That's one of the funny things about it. It hasn't occurred as much lately because so many people are using 2 drops and 3
Yeah.
drops. But it's something that can happen, and I've
Yeah.
seen it at times where it's like, I wish I didn't put my buffer out because now I can't block anymore.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just one last note on that too. For touching on what Philip said, actually, the whole thematicness of the card. World of Final Fantasy, Laan is kind of the lovable idiot archetype.
Oh,
He definitely has that whole mentality
I
where
agree
it's
with
kind of
some
like
of
he's like the last one the actual main bad guys are concerned about, but he's the one that comes in and kind of gets in.
Get some work
radar.
done.
But he's also like his abilities are also thematic because he's also kind of like that chicken persona a little
Yeah.
bit and stuff like
Yeah,
that. Like
yeah.
he sees something bigger, he's like, "No, I'm out.
I'm good.
Yeah.
You can deal with that.
But he's also kind of like
That guy's 8K.
He's also like, he's also like the hero type where he'll jump in first before realizing how big the thing is,
And then
it's
jump
like,
back out.
No. Yeah, so,
All right, so
we'll
yeah,
touch on the thematicness of the card.
that's our list for Fire. If you want the list, it'll be down in the summary for this. We're going to move on to my favorite element.
No bias.
No bias here. Ice, right? So we're going to first start off with the one that got voted. I believe this one got voted by all of us, which almost all of us.
Yeah, I think so.
Is the heroic snow, the 1-drop snow. This is my favorite card. I'm sorry. This is my favorite card, and I'm gonna go. I'll be quick with this because I could talk all day about this. But Snow is everything that you want in tempo. He comes in. He's one drop. That's amazing. You can drop him, second turn after dropping, a backup. He comes in. Hopefully your backup is Sarah. He comes in and he starts getting to work. His ability is when Snow attacks, you choose a forward that the opponent controls, and you dole them. The second part of it is if you've played a Shiva, then it's a dole and a freeze. And a lot of people tend to forget that part.
Yeah.
And I think it's huge because it doesn't matter if you have one person out on the other side. He's just going to always get in. He's going to dole them, he's going to swing, he's going to dole them, he's going to swing. He sets up what I consider winnable board states. States where you put the opponent at a timer. Like, Snow's out, you have to deal with him. Otherwise, he's going to keep hitting you. He's going to keep coming in. If you put two guys out and I throw a Shiva down on one and I attack another, both of them are dole and frozen. I'm going to swing 2 more times before you can answer, and you have to bring something out. He creates a mismatch, and I know he's only 3K. I get it. Cyclops is going to eat him. There's so many things that are going to destroy him. Yeah. And the thing is, I'm okay with that because they're forced to deal with the Snow. Opponents always have to deal with Snow. So, Philip, what do you think?
Well, you just touched on my favorite part of the card, is that it dies to Snow. But playing against it, you are forced to race the card, forced to race the deck, because you can't play one to their one, because your one's going to lose.
Right.
So you have to play a second one, so which then you overextend to the Shivas.
Exactly.
And then the other cards, and you force yourself to respond to an ice player where you don't want to be.
Exactly.
You don't want to be in that situation.
Yeah, as an ice player, if the opponent overextends, I'm salivating. That's a Shiva into a Snow into Kujas, whatever. That's me setting up a board state with like a Renoa, right?
Yeah.
Things like that, right?
So definitely he fits the theme of ice, dole, and freeze. He gets both of those things conditionally, and against 90% of the meta or forwards, one-on-one, you're not gonna want to go with him.
Right.
Yeah.
If
your name is not Guy.
If your name is not Guy, don't enter the battle.
There's a couple letters now that can't be targeted.
I'll be honest.
No, true.
Yeah. Snow has, from Opus 1 and Opus 2, I've won more events because of him than any other card that I've had in my deck.
I can believe it.
Just because of Snow.
He is very efficient. He's very cheap. And sometimes they have to use inefficient means to get rid of him.
I love it when he eats an Odin. Because it's like a one drop. You just...
It's
Odin. Okay, I'm okay with that.
When you disable, when you dole card, it's disabled. So that's what he does. He's good at disabling, and then you follow it up with your other forwards, or other combat tricks, and just try to take advantage of their one card that their blocker or whatever on their side was disabled.
Yeah, I mean, he's 1 CP, which means he's very legitimately a turn 2, there's Snow.
There's Snow.
And if you're playing as an ice player and turn 2 Snow comes out, you're like,
and you're kind of baiting that Leviathan. Go ahead.
Because
it's 1 CP.
it's 1 CP. So you're gonna put out your backup, next turn you're gonna play Snow, and then suddenly the other player has to have 2 forwards just to even block him in the first place, right? And so unless they're playing a lot of little guys, and even if they are, you're still probably at that early in the game, you're going to be discarding cards to play them, which means that you're forcing your opponent to lose out on building up their stuff, because now they've had to use their resources towards just getting bodies on.
And on that note, like when I drop a Snow second turn and I see my opponent react by dropping a backup to play something else, I think I've won, because I'm like, you probably needed a backup. Turn 2, right?
Yeah.
And especially if you drop like a 2 CP backup, you're like,
The other thing that can take out Snow, even with Sarah out though, is the starter Valifor.
Yes.
Which when I played at Nationals, my game against Dan Wynn from down Southern California, he played Valifor, and it was one of those things that people I think people are starting to notice it now, but it's an interesting play that you haven't seen much. And with Wind Water also being very popular in the meta right now, it's very easy to just splash in some of those Valifors. That'll also take out Snow, but you combine him with with the Opus 3 Kuja, and if you party attack with both of them, both their abilities go on the stack, and you just
Right.
like dulled and possibly froze 2 people. Like that's it
dirty.
goes back to like what we were talking about with fire with the red mage and stuff. Like you just took out like two guys, most likely the biggest blockers, unless they're named legendary Delita and Guy and those rangers from Wind. But Trey.
Ash can reactivate herself.
So I mean, there's ways. That's part of the reason why he's also not as good as he was, I'd say, in Opus 1 and 2, is because there are more answers to it. That being said, getting the Opus 3 Shiva helped him out because now But the Shiva, you do that anyway to dull 2 people, and then now you're going to dull another one and freeze it because you
Now
put
you
that
can deal
Shiva
with
in the
3
first
people.
place.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
he personally got some boosts, but I think other decks also got some. some
Ways to deal
So
with
it's balance.
Right.
So what's good about this game is balance.
Yeah.
And so you get something from one element, something else, another element will get
basic
something else.
paper, scissors, rock all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So the snow, I like snow. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with snow in a sense, kind of like lightning in 13. If you know what that. Snow he's a pretty solid card. He's a shot. But no, he's a pretty solid card. The 1-drop, the dulling, stuff like that. My problem comes in when you don't have that other Shiva in the hand and you're looking at a couple of 9Ks and you just cannot swing into that. Or even like a 4K and a 9K, you just can't swing into that. You're losing either way.
Yeah, truth be told, like I've sacrificed snow before. If I play the Shiva and they have a 9K that can block, I'm like, that's fine. I'm gonna attack. I'm gonna dull and freeze that, and then let him die.
Definitely.
Because he's only
if you
one.
party attack with him and literally any other ice person, they can still block, but then they have to choose like. Am I going to lose my 3 CP, 4 CP guy to kill Snow? Or am I going to kill the other thing that's bigger, but then Snow is still a problem next turn?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not really an ice player as such. Like, I do like some of the other cards that we have on the list here for ice and everything like that, but I've run into too many situations where I don't have the things to give Snow the support that he kind of needs to be on the board. That's like my one drawback with the card. Admittedly, he's 1 CP, so it's not that bad.
I think that's the one drawback with ice in general.
Yeah,
you have to go all in.
Yeah, you kind of have to go all in with ice, even though it's more of a control color. So there's not like you definitely need support for some of the ice cards.
Nice, you're not playing the long game.
Yeah, you're not splashing ice for tempo.
And if you have to, if you look at a lot of the ice cards, even now, a lot of them are weaker than say even some of the fire cards.
Generally, they are.
Their power curve is
lower. Their power curve is a lot lower.
Like,
But a lot of them have the ability to just dull and freeze everything.
Yeah.
They definitely paid a heavy cost for one of the 4-drop AK Brave guys that you can only pay by well, I think it's a 3-drop, right?
He's a 3-drop,
but only with ice backup.
It's like something ridiculous where you almost can't play him.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
You need like 3 ice backups in the field in order to be able to pay his cost. Because
they got on curve at like I think it was 5 CP with Kuja. But we're talking about 5 CP.
Ice is predominantly a lot weaker, and as an ice player, I feel that. Especially when I play something like Earth, it's like that guy's 16K.
Yeah, but the next card is fantastic.
Yes. So our next few cards in Ice, again, our list will be in the summary, are all backups. I personally feel Ice has.
Oh, no, we got a forward in there.
Oh, and a forward. Yeah. The next 3 in a row are backups. I think Ice has.
That one's easy to miss. Everybody does.
I feel like Ice has the best backups in the game. Yeah. I think we'll be. I think Ice has the best backups, and we're going to start off with the starter. Again, another starter card. Really cool.
Legendary, man.
My starter deck.
One of my favorite backups in the entire game is Jihl.
Yes.
She is an amazing one. She's a 2-drop. Right, she's a 2 CP drop. She has an EX burst. So for players who don't know what EX burst is, EX bursts take effect when the character comes into play, or when you get damaged and you flip this character over into your damage pile. In that case, it doesn't create a stack, so your opponent really can't react to it. Yeah. And the reason why Jill's EX burst is so good is because when Jill enters the field, you can choose up to 2 4s and freeze them. Now, a lot of people confuse this with dull and freeze. It's really just a freeze. The reason why it's good, though, is because if you're attacking into me and then you flip this over, I'm going to freeze the person that you just attacked with and the next person that you're going to attack with. That means you don't really want to attack with that person because they're not going to activate on your next turn. So she kind of stone cold walls everybody. On the offside that you play her, and you wait until the right time to play her, and they've attacked, you drop her down. Those guys aren't activating on the next turn. They're frozen. You throw that in with people like Snow and a Shiva, and you're getting by a lot of people. So I dig this backup. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So to touch on 90% of what you talked about, because it's like your favorite card.
I love it. I love this card. I think everything on this list.
My favorite card not named Snow is
Just everything on this.
I think most of the ice cards, Johnny's got most of the.
It's his favorite.
Yeah.
They're all his
We
favorite.
could probably just go take a smoke break. Like,
Ice all day.
So, yeah,
That'd be good.
it's a 2-drop backup. My only issue with it is when you see it turn 1.
Yeah.
More often than not, you need that turn 1 backup, and if you only have a Jill, it's a feels bad.
That feels bad. That happens to me all the
You don't want to do
time.
that.
Right, that happens to me all the time.
So that's my only downside with her is it's the feels bad Jill, but everything else is just
Right, and you know,
Amazing.
people forget she actually has a special.
Yep, exactly.
She does, and that special, when you use it right, it can help.
There aren't
a lot.
actually a lot of backups that have specials.
Yeah.
Right,
too,
right,
so
right.
it's
All right.
thing.
But,
There aren't a lot.
so yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too deep into it, but I mean, we talked about the EX burst. It's a 2-drop. It's cheap. Like if you hit off the EX burst, then it'll just throw a big wrench into the guy's plans. He thought like, oh hey, I'm just gonna go in, get a couple damage. All of a sudden he's like, oh, the swing back is gonna be big if I do this.
And when they've attacked with one and they flip this over and I freeze one and I freeze the other that hasn't attacked yet and they don't attack and I have a Snow out, that's getting frozen.
Yep.
I'm going to do that, and it's going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely buys you at least a good 1 or 2 turns, and that's a big tempo.
Tempo swings.
Yeah, definitely buys you a lot of time. Yeah. Even if you don't hard cast it, you get retaliated with an EX burst. Yeah, it buys you.
It always feels good when you flip that over in the EX burst. You're like, it's like a Mateus.
Yeah, it really is one of the most potent X bursts. I think some X bursts they pop up and you're like okay,
Yeah.
But when that comes up, it's some of the biggest interesting things about this game is that sort of randomness factor, and of course, when you're on the wrong side of it, it really sucks. But, throwing that in there makes it so that regardless of your game plan, you could have had the opponent dead to rights, and then they flip over Jill for that, and suddenly you're going, oh crap.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially if you were if they were only a couple points of damage from losing, right? And then something like that happens. So maybe you went all out, you attacked with all your forwards or whatever, and then something pops up, not necessarily Jill, but something like a Leviathan or something pops up, and it's suddenly I just lost the game because that came up.
Because I overextended.
Or if you had just some sort of plan that involved having your forwards back, or okay, well I'm going to take a couple damage next turn, but that's fine because my forwards will be back.
Yeah.
No, they won't.
No, they won't. They're going to take more than a couple damage.
Exactly. So, Jill I like this card. It's one of my favorite ice cards and such. Like he says, she has got a special ability. This is where my dislike of the card comes in, because the only 2 versions we have of Jill Nabaat are both backups, and the backup slot is kind of a sacred spot in this game.
Yeah,
if you will.
Yes.
Some of the power.
You can only have 5.
Some of the specific things. Yeah, you kind of need to be careful with what backups you run. So her special ability isn't. It's powerful, but it's not used as much as it potentially could be, with the fact that there's basically 2 backup Jills, and nobody wants to run the other backup Jill because it's only useful in 2 situations.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
you can run it as fuel for the special on this one. If you want to have 1 or something.
Yeah,
so,
of course. I mean, the one is fine and stuff like that, but I can think of a bunch of other ones I would rather have even in mono ice over that other Jill.
Yeah.
I feel like if they ever do come out with a Jill Nabaat forward, then that would be even more beneficial to this, because I kind of like the when you have a backup and a forward of the same character, because it gives you the option do I want
Renoa. I will never play that backup Renoa.
No, the backup Renoa is bad
Except in title format, when you use backup Renoa to grab forward Renoa, and then you just laugh.
Yeah, see, that's the thing too. But yeah, I do like Jill Nabaat. I love the EX burst. That's swung so many games. When I've been playing Ice, it's swung so many games for me. It's swung so many games against me when I attack. I'm like, oh, all right, just kill me. Just get over it. Jill Nabaat's definitely one of my favorite cards.
I'll definitely say one thing that you mentioned about the special is that what's good about this card is that, yes, it is a backup, but some of the other backups we've talked about before, like Red Mage, those are standard units. So you can have multiple copies on the board. The problem that you have normally with some of these character cards, they're unique
can only have
characters.
one.
Yeah,
you can only have one on the board.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you do when you have another one in your hand?
Well, yeah, see,
In this case,
that's
use it.
at least you- yeah.
That's exactly
Use it as a
that's
makeshift Shiva.
Oh yeah, that's exactly the
That is
benefit
just
to
good.
the
Yeah.
that's exactly the benefit to the special. But again, it's like you've only got 2 other copies of Jill in your 2 to 3
I don't
others.
typically see people use the special against me. As
Yeah.
much as I played against Ice, I can't think of a time. I mean, it's really good, and
I've seen
I feel
him
like
do
it
it
should be.
once.
But like,
Yeah, I've done
I haven't
it
seen it
on a
happen.
rare occasion.
I mean, you do have to have gone
Yeah.
late enough into a game for them to have drawn 2 Jills, and if
Yeah.
Ice,
Yeah.
by the time you reach the mid to late game, Ice has either wrecked you or been wrecked because
Yeah.
they ran out of steam.
Yeah,
They run out of
there's
steam.
like there's
Exactly.
like no mid game for Ice. It's
Yeah.
either early game or I'm dead. It's
Right.
kind of like playing Dredge and Magic. It's like, oh, I have 2 turns. Okay, I'm good.
Ice is for the smokers that want to break no matter how it goes.
We're good? All right, we're done.
exactly. So,
I want to touch on the fact that you said that the backup line is very, very sacred.
Yeah.
And this is why I like our next card.
yeah.
Our next card is
This card is
the
fantastic.
4 CP Devout backup for Ice. And I believe it is the only card in this game that does this ability. Where you can, the ability is you put Devout into the break zone, and you can choose one forward of cost 4 or less from your break zone, and you can put it into the field. And you can only do this ability during your turn.
I would
This-
forget that part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This creates so much headache for people who build a deck and have one card that can stop them, like Dark Emperor, a Renoa, things that do a lot of utility for you on both attack and defense, setting up a board state. Devout's going to get that back for you easily. You're going to drop a 4. You can even pitch two four drop forwards to play Devout, so that later you can ping it in. I do this with Laguna. So if I play a Squall early, if I have a Squall and a Laguna in my hand, and I have a Devout, I'll pitch the Laguna and put it under the first card, and then play my Squall. And then later on, when it's an appropriate time, I'll actually break my Devout for that Laguna for the Dull Freeze. And then when I have the Shivas and everything, and deal with a lot of the things that people are coming in, I do the same thing with like Renoas and stuff like that. So you can pitch to play to get them back, and I think it's freaking huge. And it kills itself so that you can play
Another one.
or a Jill, or the feel bad moment is when you draw a first turn. You're like,
It's so expensive.
it's 4, right? It's a lot. So
So, to talk about your Squall Laguna combo, is Devout creates an interesting little stack when you play them.
Right.
So you can play the Squall, or I'm not the Ice player, so I don't know how the stack actually plays out, or which one you play first, but you can play like the Squall first, in response to the Squall's ability, crack your Devout, get the Laguna in, get
Put
the
it on the
Dolph
stack.
Freeze.
right, Dull Freeze,
And
exactly.
Next thing you know, you've got 2 9K staring you in the face, turn 1, and you're like, GG, I'm proceeding to
Plus,
Right.
you just dull and throw somebody and make your opponent discard 2 cards.
Yeah.
and proceed to scoop phase and
Yeah.
call it a day.
And then call it a day. Like, okay, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I mean, in terms of the Laguna Squall, that's a different story. But 9K is a big deal, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Ice has a hard time being on curve, and that goes over the curve. I mean,
Yeah.
9K 4 drop is.
Dude, if I have a 9K4,
that is pretty awesome.
I'm in Happy Town as an Ice player.
right.
Unless
Yeah,
that
one of my-
9K is Renoa.
Yeah.
I'll definitely say one of my favorite parts of Devout is actually being like a reload of your one-ups.
Yes.
So we're talking about like Dark Emperor,
Right.
Bane,
Yeah.
things like
Bane,
that.
yeah.
And there's some certain cards you don't want to have too many of.
Right.
But once you put it into play, and if it's 4 costs or less, if they spend, sometimes it's a complete counter to somebody's deck. I mean, we're talking
Yeah.
about like, hey, I have a lot of 5 drops. Oh, here's a Bane. You may not activate your 5 drops during your activation.
Ever
Again, right.
Yeah.
And then if they find a way to deal with it, you just get it back. This card makes me, when I deck build, really cognizant about my CP costs. I tend not to have any 5s, just because of Devout. I want to be able to get everything back when I need it,
Yeah.
if I need it, right?
I mean, it's definitely really big because sometimes, like, once you put a counter into play,
Yeah.
like, Dark Emperor, where it's like, oh, hey, I need to activate my stuff, that's my deck, and like, oh, well, I can't because you have your guy, so I am waiting so hard to get my one Odin to destroy it, and you get it, and that's just like, and on my turn, I will crack my Devout, and we can do it all over again. You're gonna die before you draw the
Right.
next one.
That's a fresh Emperor.
Yeah. But the bad part is if they play an Emperor, you can't
Yes.
Devout at all.
Yeah.
You're screwed. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and one thing is a very unique ability that no other card or no other element has. And the thing is that it's all about resource management, because in any other element, you have to constantly hold your 5 cards and wait for the right moment to use. Whereas with Devout, you can start pitching really early.
Right.
Yeah. So with this card, because like cards, building decks is very specific. You have the cyclical usage, like if it's for early game, mid game, or late game.
Right.
And if you get a late game card early on, it feels bad. So, but if you design your deck with Devout, you start pitching early on. Okay, you get it early on. I'll use it later. Wait until the right moment, until late game when it's useful.
Everyone always forgets about the Devout play.
Yeah,
They're like, oh wait, oh crap, you had to, oh man.
Yeah, and therefore your discard pile becomes your resource hand.
Exactly.
You're no longer limited to 5 cards in your hand because you have unlimited cards to go through for Devout, and you could pick any element. It's not just ice. So you can splash in like some other element that's like a third element. That's
Legendary Vaughn, right?
Yeah. And so, the limitations of sky with this card.
Yeah.
For deck
Jared?
building.
Yeah.
So, 3 thoughts about this. First one is it's true that it is fairly unique in the effect that it does. We are starting to see other cards that do this a similar type of effect.
Mm-hmm.
We have Lana, who brings back something from the discard
Right.
pile. We have her special that brings back anything, but the special is expensive, and she brings back.
Drop.
And she brings back just a 2
2-drop water.
a 2 CP water card, or water forward, which there's not a whole lot of them that you're
It
excited
says
to
bring back.
It just says bring
or
back.
Larson, or Larson. I gotta speak up for David here. So, and then yes, the other one is Phoenix, which also brings back a 2 CP forward. So in those 2 cases, you're getting back like a little guy. There's one more. What am I forgetting?
5 CP Devout from Wind.
Oh,
wow!
I was gonna mention that one.
There you go.
Yeah, that card's so expensive.
That's
That's
very
fine. Yeah,
not gonna play it.
You're right.
The 4 is already too much for me.
So what makes this valuable is that it pulls from a wider pool
Mm-hmm.
and is cheaper, right?
Right.
I mean, once you've got it in play, you're not paying any cost other than dulling it. So it's basically you're pre-ordering a forward.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're putting that up now and going, I'm coming back for something later.
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yes.
And you get to duel it for CP the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking
So
great.
I mean, like what Peter said, you can use it to get anything. So
Anything.
or any element.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're using it in a 2-element deck, then you can use it to grab something that's of the other element.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're splashing in some card because you're feeling really spicy and are like, I'm not even playing. Fire.
But,
I'm not even playing fire, but I'm going to put in some I'm putting in Rubicante for some reason. Right.
Stop playing Earth, I'm gonna put in Guy.
Guy should be in every deck.
There you go. Yeah.
But so you can pull back anything. It doesn't matter what the element is, and so you're paying for it with ice.
Right,
So
right,
that's already good. And as we pointed out, the fact that it breaks itself because the backup line is so sacred as far as how many spots you get. It's definitely useful to have those backups that break themselves, so that when you get to a point in the game where you're like, I have this backup, I really want to play it, but I got nothing in play that can break itself. Well, GG,
GG.
Like,
and
so
you can
it's-
have multiple of him.
So I mean, what a double win right there. Oh, I'm going to pull back Laguna or Squall or Genesis.
Yes.
Right?
Laguna and Squall.
Because Genesis is the other one too from Opus 3. Like, I mean, your opponent might not remember, other than being annoyed with Genesis when they got rid of him in the first place,
Right.
presumably. But they're just like they're not thinking about that, and you just surprise them on your turn with like,
Don't forget.
boom, here comes Genesis.
Yeah.
And then let's say you play lightning and you have a red mage.
Yeah.
Oh, I haste tonight.
Yeah.
Say that happens.
Yeah, so there's a lot of options there, and it definitely it's easy to fool your opponent to not realizing just how many things are possible.
Especially when you're playing against ice players, because ice players require you to kind of do a little bit of thinking, because you kind of have to think about what they're going to dull freeze.
Yeah.
And while you're into the game, the ice player's like, oh, I'm so going to grab that card. You don't even see that, but I'm going to do that, and then it's just going to.
They're just internally doing this.
Yeah, they're like, okay,
internally though, right? Poker face.
Overextend, come on, and then blah.
Yeah, exactly. No, Devout is definitely one of my top cards in Ice. It's so good. Unlike Philip, I love seeing it in my opening hand, because I can pitch a couple big guys, and then
I do that. Yeah, I put double Devout in.
to throw one of the big guys out.
Almost
Or you
lost,
just
but
gotta, well, the nice thing about Devout too is that nobody, in my knowledge, runs a lot of backup aid. So you can throw Devout out first turn and then just be like, go on, kill anything I throw down. It's not going to matter. Bring Odin them.
You have to play Earth,
Yeah.
Hecatoncheir, or 8-drop Sephiroth.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again,
4-drop Sephiroth.
4-drop Promo.
Four-drop Promo Sephiroth with an 8-drop Sephiroth backup. I don't know who would do that, Jared. That's bad. But no, there's not a lot of
It's coming. 9 Sephiroth. Wait, 12 Sephiroth.
Yep.
So
Right.
that's the thing. Like, there's not a lot of backup hate, so you can drop Devout first turn and then just watch your opponent like think about what they're actually going to try and kill this game.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, what are you doing and such. So, but yeah, touching on the Wind Devout, I've thought about that when you said this is one of the few ones, and I'm kind of like thinking about that. And it's like Wind Devout sucks. It's a 5-drop that gets like a two
to the
cost.
You're basically paying 3 for a
It's
win
basically-
You
back
might
up.
as well be
It's
playing
basically-
Asher at that point.
It's basically if your
No,
Chocobo.
after I gets into your hand.
Yeah,
Asura.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's basically if your Chocobo has an accident in the field, you just need to bring it back up so it can swing in one more time.
Yeah, one
You know,
more
that's
time.
basically what it does.
It's not so bad with Ivana though.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, I mean,
Ivana, and then
I
you
mean,
get
Chocobo-
a Gateway, and
We're
you
not
get a-
making Wind Devout a thing.
Hey, I still haven't finished making my deck for tonight, so.
I'm saying it right now.
you gotta
The
get ready right
Chocobo
now.
is coming. We have the Mecha Chocobo. We have all the Chocobos here.
And
We
the
have the
Fat
Black
Chocobo
Chocobo.
too, right?
Yeah, the fat. I want to get
man.
a place that.
So, who here played Magic?
I might have dabbled.
Briefly.
Who here loved the card Counterspell? But yeah, this next backup is going to do the same freaking thing for you in this game.
I'm just gonna say this right now. I'm a level 1 judge. I hate counterspell, and that card can go.
So the next,
We're trying to keep this
the
PG,
next,
right?
yeah, the next backup we have
Flip itself.
is the is the 3-drop summoner. I just actually recently in like Opus 2 started running this card in my deck, and it's so ridiculously good. And I'll give you 2 reasons why it's good and 1 reason why I think it sucks. One, why I think it sucks is because it's a 3-drop. That's really hard to play. It's really difficult to play a 3-drop because at that point in your progression of games, you should be playing either something like a Larg or even a forward. At a 3-drop for a backup, it's kind of a lot. I like to keep my backups around the 2s or 4s because Devout is awesome. But the special and the 2 reasons why I like this is because 1, it's special ability. It's not special. It's activated ability is put summoner in the break zone by using 1 ice CP, and you can choose a summon and cancel its effect. So you Odin? No. You
Sildra?
Bahamut.
You Bahamut? No.
Yeah.
You want to do
Ultima?
the Ultima? No.
Zodiac.
Yep, Zodiac? No. And the second reason why I think this card is amazing is it doesn't need to activate. The second I drop it down, I can use it.
Yeah.
I can use it even when it's dull and I have cards in my hand. A lot of players don't realize that. I've caught somebody trying to Ultima me, and they're like, "Oh, I Ultima you," and I'm like, I pitch a card, overpay, and then drop my summons. Like, no, you can't
Oh,
do
it's
that. I'm
worth
like,
that overpay.
oh yes, I can, right? And it's a counterspell, and there's correct me if I'm wrong, guys. There's only one other card that counterspells. It's Carbuncle, correct?
But it has to be a target.
Specific,
Yeah, it has to
target.
actually choose one of your
Yeah.
forwards.
And
in
it has
order
to be
do it.
against a summon too.
It's
Yes.
against the summon, yeah,
Yes.
but it has to be
It's
against
even
one of your
a
forwards, which is also a difference because it's because technically summoner could cancel something that's not targeting.
Yeah.
and not even,
Perfect,
like
yeah.
I mean, well, not even just not that, but like
No,
if you could use summoner to cancel out like Heka.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know why you would.
Save your Devout.
Yeah. Save your Devout. Come on.
Summoners take one for the team.
Yeah.
Save Maria.
And
Yeah, that's
Summoner
true.
breaks
That's
himself
true.
so that again the sacred backup light.
Yeah.
Philip, what do you think, man?
Same thing. You know, you touched on literally everything I
I
can.
love this card.
No, but you can have multiples of it.
Right.
If you got 2 of them out, you're just as a water player. You're like, well, I'm just Leviathan. Yeah, it's canceled. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for that Sildra.
Yeah, Leviathan, that he can pass. He's
Yeah,
good.
right.
But you know, anything, it's getting canceled. He's like,
canceled.
yeah, it's just.
What are you gonna do, right? It's just a straight counterspell.
I played it. No, I don't. All right.
Okay, right? It's like, oh, okay, cool.
It's definitely got that magic feel to it. Like, oh, you have someone in play. May I please cast this?
No, really not.
No,
Yeah, it's totally that.
You
like,
may not pass.
I cast Bahamut.
Yeah, critical strike. You're like,
And then you just wait for a little bit.
So everything else you touched on already. So I'm just gonna.
yeah, man. So
Yeah, it breaks itself, so it frees up your backup line. It counterspells anything, not just very specific. It doesn't. As long as it's a summon, yeah, it gets countered.
Yep, it's done.
Yeah.
Wish I had that where that Riku came out, or not the Riku, the other one. Fairy. Fairy.
But without an EX though.
Might have been, yeah.
If it's EX, you can't stop that.
Yeah,
It's true.
It's stacked.
I'd say the only downside to Summoner versus Carbuncle, for example, is just that it's telegraphed in terms of that it's in play. But at the same time, sometimes when things are telegraphed, they're super effective because your opponent is they're kind of psyched out by it. In this case, it's like as long as you have at least one card in hand, doesn't matter what's on the field, what's dull, whatever. If they have one card in hand, then
they're gonna second guess.
Then they're like,
Absolutely.
you're probably gonna, So I mean, the best they can do is hope to bait it out with something that they're not as worried about. But if you use like a Leviathan, they might just be like, nah, it's all right.
Yeah.
And
there's certain players that we play with, Nia. If you put this onto the field and you just hold a card and you just watch him, he's gonna slowly crack.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of another card that I'm very fond of that we'll talk about later.
To be fair, I've played against Nia several times, and that man will overthink absolutely everything 90% of the time. I love Nia to death. He's an awesome person, but you can sit there with like you said, the summoner on board, one card in your hand, and you will see him sit there for 10 minutes looking in his hand.
And it's 20 minutes if you have a summoner and a devout.
Right. He's kind of like, what do you got? Do I have a vein? Do you have an emperor? Do I have snow? What do you think, boy? Just kind of like,
No,
I've got a wind devout in my hand.
I have nothing but
I'm going to do that one day, actually. I'm going to do that, just mess with people. But anyway, Summoner is a fantastic card. I hate this card with a burning passion of 1,000 Suns. And Lawrence over here is smiling because he knows why, I think.
No, I just love that.
No, so there's nothing like getting a board state going with you. Your opponent gets a board state going. You have an idea where you can tap down some of the stuff and then try to Zalera because, they have like 4 drops or something. And then he's like, Summoner. I'm like, I didn't see that drop. Scoop, I'm good. So,
I didn't even remember that one.
Oh no, we were playing that game, and I was kind of like Zalera, and then you kind of like looked at me and said Summoner. I'm like, what the hell's that? Because I forgot the card existed, and then I saw it, and it's like, I hate this card. I'm going to burn every single one of them I see.
I want to touch on one thing real quick with this card. When the Water Light deck did so well in this area, Nia built it and was winning everything. Everyone was like, how can I fit a summoner in this deck?
Summoner.
I need to fit a summoner somehow in this deck.
I'm playing Mono Earth, but there's going to be a summoner in there.
I need it.
Because when I played that Shang Toto, I won't be able to do this.
Exactly. There's going to be 3 summoners and like 1 Jill just to fuel it all.
Just enough to make you go,
what? And the last card, I know this is a toss-up. We actually had this card and another card called Terra. I made the last minute change because of the Golbez, the whole Golbez meta. And this card is 3-drop Legendary Squall. On paper, he doesn't actually look super good. He's only 3-drop. He's only 6k. He dies to a lot of different things, but it's his abilities that I feel like make him really, really strong. When Squall blocks or is blocked, choose a forward and deal it 6,000 damage. So he can trade with the 12k. Or if you're playing something like Golbez, when they're flooding the board with a lot of smaller creatures, words,
Chocobos,
right? When you block, you can literally ping two of their forwards. If you happen to play his special and give him first strike, he's wrecking almost anything like that comes out. A 12k, he's gone. He can ping 2 different forwards. I happen to like him a lot. I play him over the discard Squall in my deck. I just find them to be really, really useful most of the time. I don't know how you guys feel. So I'm going to start over here with Badger. Because
you love ice.
Because you love ice.
I love ice and Final Fantasy 8, obviously.
It's his favorite game.
Calm down. No, I mean, I have not played with this Squall before. It wasn't my choice. I was one of the Terra guys because Terra's kind of awesome in my respect. But I do see where you're coming from on that. Definitely against those smaller things that Golbez gets out, this guy can wreck face. But he does die to a lot of the other stuff. Like I feel like
dies to a freaking Brunhilde.
Yeah.
He dies to Alcid plus something that doesn't do damage.
Yeah.
I mean, he dies to Bahamut. What good is he?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, he's actually pretty good. And the points you made about Golbez are pretty solid. I actually didn't think about that because I haven't really looked at this.
Yeah, that's why I've never actually had a problem playing a Golbez deck because I'll just drop the Squall and the Renoa. And then
if I actually do some more ice stuff and everything, I might try him in the decks and stuff like that and see where it goes. So, yeah, that actually opened my eyes on this one. So
But it's funny, if you actually use his special, against Golbez with Gapal, and you're like, I don't care.
Yeah.
This whole turn, your Gapal does nothing.
You're absolutely nothing. You ready? Because he gets first strike the whole turn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Every time you block,
and
that's
then I'm
12K.
gonna eat all the other ones if you feel like it.
So I just blocked 3 guys. How you doing? I'm good. I'm good.
Good. Let's go. I'm still striking faster than they can. Let's go.
Still frosty.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jared?
I see what you did there.
Yeah. See?
I know not a lot of people play this one. Everyone likes
No,
this one,
I
so-
picked this one on my list actually because I think he's really underrated for
Right,
that, for
right.
that reason. Like he's got similarities to why Warrior of Light is so good. He's a little more expensive, obviously, at 3 instead of 2, but the trading up, factor is great. I mean, unless you're playing water, unless you're playing water, which there's a lot of water, but even then, like. There's not an emphasis right now in a lot of water decks for Minwu or Larsa. They might have them as a one of in there,
Right.
except for locally around here. But in general,
Yeah.
the lists we're seeing don't actually feature those very much. So, and if you're not playing water, then you're set,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the ability to trade up, it's I think of it like it's kind of a removal card.
Right.
Right? You're paying 3 to remove up to something that's up to 12K, right? That's not bad,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he's retrievable with Devout. The special makes it so that he'll trade up without the trading. He just laps.
He just
more.
laughs.
So
Still frosty.
and the fact that you can use him in conjunction with the other one. So depending on your
Right.
needs of the deck, if you're going for the whole combo with Laguna, then it kind of depends on which one you draw, but still, it's not really. You don't really ever feel bad about playing this one,
No,
especially
because he's only 3.
yeah. And again, you might not play him with the intent that he's going to be around for a long time, but he's
Exactly.
going to do his job and be worth the 3 CP you paid for him.
Right.
So I think, obviously against Golbez, and as we have gotten into a meta that is emphasizing 2 and 3 CP forwards more. That 6K actually
is relevant. You saw a drop in Opus 2. Opus 2 saw a lot of Zandes and
there's a lot of
crazy
huge forwards. Even with
big
Bane
guys.
around, we still saw a lot of
so it's
forwards mostly.
Yeah.
a lot of people stopped playing him and started playing the other one that buffed off of Laguna, and I kept him in. I felt like he was still relevant.
For sure.
Yeah, and for his element, there's not a lot of ping damage abilities or
Yeah.
cards. And in a way, if you play him, you have to complement him with other ping abilities so that you get maximized to 6,000, ping damage.
Like
And,
Terra.
as long as you design the deck around him and to utilize it, you could be really aggressive. You attack, and then your opponent will have to think twice. Okay, if I block, who is he going to target? Does he have something else to follow up to finish them off? So if you build around, he's solid. He's just really aggressive, and you can always keep swinging. If your opponent decides to block, he's going to hit something for 6,000, and then follow up with 2,000 or 6,000 ping.
Yeah. And if he gets Odin, I feel better because you've lost CP. If he gets bounced, I don't feel so bad because I can play him again. It's only 3. And if he dies going out in battle, I'm trading up with something. So
Yeah, exactly.
all
He's
around.
effective once he hits the field because he can block the next turn. So it
Exactly.
doesn't matter that he can't attack or
Exactly.
there's not an ability you're waiting to use.
Yeah, definitely. I don't have much experience with him, but I do like him as a blocker more than an attacker. Unless they only have one big blocker. Like, I love having him on my...
Just
in field.
hanging out.
He's just hanging out. I have one card in hand, it's like... And one card and like one ICP ready. And I'm like, do you want to gamble?
You want to play this game?
You want to gamble or not? And it's like, yeah.
And then you can
Mind
devote him
games,
back
mind
in.
games.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a wall with a mirror on it, so you're not sure just how sturdy that wall is. You're like, I'm going to crash through it, but you might get wrecked.
You might get wrecked.
So for me personally, I love it. I think I had it on my list. I love the first strike ability.
Yes.
First strike is such a huge ability in this game,
Right,
and
right.
everyone forgets about it.
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
cheap.
It is cheap.
It's cheap.
It's
It's
cheap.
special +1.
Yeah.
Also, I'm quite partial to it because my first Opus 1 foil, but that's just me.
That's a beautiful foil.
It's a beautiful
That's-
foil.
yeah.
Foils matter, right?
We've all
Yeah,
discussed your
so-
goal for Final Fantasy VIII too.
Right,
The
of course.
factors into it.
The draw system, jump
Right,
Yeah, the-
right.
yeah.
So that concludes our ice list. We're gonna have another video, going through all the rest of the elements. Thanks for joining us. If you like what we've talked about, leave a comment. Thumbs up. If you don't like what we're talking about, or you want us to talk about something else on this list, or we missed something that you feel like is like really good and should be on this list, leave us a comment. We'll run through it again, and we'll make sure to cover everything that you guys think is cool. If you like what we're doing here at the Break Zone, go ahead and hit subscribe. I'm Johnny.
Philip?
Lou?
Peter?
Jared?
Badger.
And everyone at the Break Zone, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you guys the next time.